This problem is has the same setup that we were talking about before, but the solution will not be a linear equation. So if this sort of stopped you in your tracks because it's not like the other ones, you're quite right. But it is the sort of thing that we will be doing in the course, and that you should have seen sometime before. As a homework problem, it's not too bad because you can always use the Google to find out what you're trying to solve. So my solution method that I've been using so far is basically don't be afraid to guess. So so in this case, just to guess, I'll say, what if my width is, these are meters, so 10 meters. The problem says the length is 3 meters less than twice the width. So twice the width would be 20. 3 meters less than 20, 17 meters. And so I got that from doing twice 10 minus 3, just to remind myself of how I got the 17. So my guess started off being 10 for the width. I figured out the length from that, 17, and then I calculate the area, which would be 10 times 17, so width times length, which is 170 square meters, which is wrong. Right? But I don't expect it to be right. What I'm really trying to accomplish here is to have figured out all of the steps that I need to do when I start doing this algebraically. So I'm going to let x be my width. The length then I would get by doing 2 times x minus 3. That's what I did here with 10 and twice 10 minus 3. So if the width is x, the length is twice x minus 3. And then the area will be x times 2x minus 3, which is 2x squared minus 3x. So my goal is that the area should be 464 square meters. So I want 2x squared minus 3x to be equal to 464. And so the problem with this is that this is not a linear equation. I can't solve this using my strategy of get all my x's together, or basically isolate the x. So to solve a quadratic equation, this thing's quadratic because it's got a squared in it. The process is to rewrite this so that it has the form quadratic polynomial equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 464 from both sides so it looks like that. And at this point, you would have been taught to try to factor this thing, but these numbers are pretty big. This 464 has a lot of factors. So unless you are very patient or very good with numbers, at that point, if it seems difficult to do by factoring, a lot of times what you use is the quadratic formula. Now, the reason that I assign this for a homework problem is because the quadratic formula is not something that you have to remember to do homework. You can always just open your browser and type quadratic formula. And you'll find a page that explains to you or reminds you what this is. So when you're solving ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then the solution is minus b plus or minus square root of b squared, blah, 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 blah. So that's the quadratic formula. And that gives us an easy way to finish this problem. So according to the quadratic formula, the solution for x here is going to be minus b, so the opposite of b. b is negative 3 in this equation, plus or minus square root, so I don't run out of room here. B squared, negative 3 squared is 9. And then it's minus 4ac, so 4 times 2 times negative 464. So I'm just going to put 464 here, and since it's negative, it's going to make this a plus. And that's all divided by 2a, so twice a, so 4. So what I really need to know is, what is this giant thing under the square root sign? And so that's just arithmetic, so I'll get my calculator and I'll find out that 4 times 2 times, oops, 4 times 2 times 464 plus 9 is equal to 3,721. And so it's not too surprising that this problem was picked so it has half decent values. If I take the square root, I find out that it's equal to 61. So this is really 3 plus or minus 61 over 4. And so there really are two values of x that will do this, but because this is a geometry problem, the x really has to be, well, it can't be negative, so x has to be at least 0 for the picture to even make sense. So the 3 minus 61 possibility here is not a real possibility. So the answer is going to be the positive one of these two values. So that'll just be 3 plus 61 over 4, which is 64 over 4, which is 16. So the correct answer is that the rectangle should have a width of 16 meters, and then the length should be twice 16 minus 3. Twice 16 is 32, minus 3 is 29. So if our rectangle is 16 by 29, then it will meet both conditions.